So welcome to the next video. Yes, that was a smooth transition from the last video. There is two more parts of this video that I highly recommend you go back and check because you probably have missed some important details. For example, we have successfully set up our router to do DHCP. Perfect. We have successfully got internet working on the router after I found a dead port on my switch. We have also successfully configured the switch. And we have obviously, in the first video, we went over what sort of hardware you should be using for this sort of setup in the first place. So this is where we stand. At the moment, when you plug an IP phone in, it will get an IP address in the correct range. It will automatically obtain the TFTP server details, but it gets stuck on registering because the router is not actually running any VoIP services at the moment. So we need to fix that. So in the last video, you were supposed to go and download this. This is TFTP D32 here. So you can see I've just put it in the C folder in a folder called TFTP D32. Let's see if I can find that actually. So this is what you get when you download TFTP D32. Now I've got a bunch of TXT files here for some configs, some zip files for firmwares and stuff. So this is a bit more of a mess than you would normally have. But as long as you've got TFTP32.exe and this INI file, then the rest is basically just rubbish. You can get rid of it. You won't get all this crap when you download it. So we're actually going to need to download the phone firmware. So we're working with a 7911 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to download that firmware. Now, the best and easiest way is on Cisco.com. Now, this is the legal way to do it. If you go to support, and then you're going to go to and then what you're going to do is you're going to go here to downloads here where it says that, and we're going to put in 7911, and we're going to just hit find. Now the Cisco website is very iffy. They have lost the firmware for the 7970 and 7971, for example. I do have a mirror website which has not only most of the phone firmware for the 7900 series, but it also has the elusive firmware that for the 7970 and 7971. I do not have every firmware file on the universe, but I try my best. And as you can see, the Cisco website is living up to its standard here. I think it's crashed. So we're actually going to go and do it on my... So I'll leave a link to my site in the description. Here it is. Files.bluntlab.space doesn't work at the moment. It's cisco.server.adamxp12.com. What an amazing domain. So we're going to click Cisco, VoIP, and literally this is all I have. These are the phone models here. Yeah, I've also got IP communicator there if you want to do soft phones, but it doesn't really work too well with Windows 10. Well, it does work, but it's just a bit on the iffy side. So we're actually going to go to the 7906 and 7911 here. You get an option of skinny or SIP. Now SIP is great if you want to use asterisks. We do not. We want to use a Cisco router, so we're going to be using the skinny firmware. Now here's where it gets a bit confusing. You need to look on your phone, and if it's running a firmware version before 8.4, you need to upgrade to 8.5.2 here. It's a whole palaver. Luckily, my phone here is running the latest firmware anyway here, 9.4 SR3. So we'll go and click that, and as you can see, these files are provided as is, no warranty, absolutely nothing. If you break your phone or something, that's your problem. They are genuine files downloaded from Cisco.com, and I feel that these are here. I feel that I don't have any issues uploading these to the internet because they're free on Cisco.com anyway. And yeah, it's just a nice resource for people in the home lab community. So yeah, we're going to download that. Now once you've downloaded that zip file, open it up and you're going to see a bunch of files. You're going to want to copy all of them files into that TFTP directory. Like so. This might take a while. There you go, done. So if we go back to that TFTP here, what you might want to do is go to settings, and you're going to change a few things here. Go to global, turn off DHCP server. Just do it. It will cause you so much hassle with that on. Leave TFTP server and TFTP client on. Go to TFTP here. The base directory doesn't really matter. It doesn't seem to use it. It uses whatever's set in the current directory here. And you're going to just basically leave everything like that. Just leave it as default. You just want to disable the DHCP server, which is default on. You will need to restart TFTP32 to do that. Now in this top directory here, you want to put the path to your TFTP32 folder. So C TFTP32 up there, I've put that in there. And you can verify this by hitting show directory. And if you see all them files that you just copied over, and I do, term11, term06, then you are golden. And here on the server interface, you're going to set this to the most logical one. So this is how we're going to figure this out. I personally think that you should be plugging your computer running TFTP32 in with an Ethernet cable. If you plug it in using Wi-Fi or something, there's a high chance that it's just going to be incorrect. So we're going to go to our router here. So we're going to go to our router here, and as you can see, it's got an IP of 10.0.1.19. If we go over here, 10.0.1.8, that will work. If these are totally different, if the first three numbers are different, so if it's 10.0.2. something on the router and 10.0.1, there's a high chance it won't work. It may work, but I would be doubtful unless you're on some sort of commercial network or you have some weird subnet setup. So what we're going to do then, so we've got TFTP32 advertising these files here. We're going to put these files on the edge of the screen here, and I don't care about that. So we're going to put these files down here. So we're going to come over here, and I accidentally unplugged the console cables, that's why there was a bit of a weird jump cut there. So we're going to do dir. This is what's currently on the file system here. Apparently we have an SSL client, secured desktop iOS, whatever that is, 128 meg.cdf, and Cisco Professional Express, I think that is, or something, and TFTP. What's in TFTP, I wonder? Absolutely nothing. It's TFTP. That's brilliant. I like that. Works great for me. Yeah. So we're just going to, it doesn't really matter what's on there, as long as your iOS image is on there and you have space free. We do. We have about 63 megs of space free on this router, which is brilliant. We can work with that. That's plenty of space. So we're going to do copy TFTP : to flash : and it's going to ask for the address or name of remote host. So if you go back to that TFTP32, you can see it there, 10.0.1.8. There you go. It's going to ask for a source file name, so let's do apps11.9. Oh, I have no idea what happened there. I was drunk typing. apps11.9-4-2e26.sbn. It's then going to say destination file name, just press enter. And now, hopefully, error, no such file. Oh yes, it's case sensitive. So we're going to do that again, but this time we will put the capital E in there. Just make sure it's all correct. Yeah, that looks correct to me. No such file or directory. Well, if you get that, then you can cheat by going to properties here and still in the name. It's definitely on that file server. There we go. I must have typed something wrong. But you can see it's now loading. You can see TFTP32 on the side there is going crazy. And while it's doing that, let's copy the name of the next file, because you need to upload every file there to the router. So just copy the same steps. Press the up key till you get that. It will remember the IP, so just press enter. paste in the name of the new file by right clicking, at least in putty, enter, enter, and there we go. So we're slowly but surely going to do this. So I'm going to cut off the camera here, and I will come back when we have finished copying all these files to the router. So we have just finished copying all of them files on there. If we actually do dir here, we can see all of the files on there. And yes, I am retaking this because I messed up. So yeah, we're going to go straight into conf t though. We're then going to enter telephony services, and I can't spell that, but the tab key on Cisco routers will just automatically type the rest once you type the first 3 characters or so. There you go. Brilliant. So we're going to set up a few things in here. We're going to do IP source address 172.16.50.16.1. That's because that's the IP we've given this router for the VoIP network. So basically what we're saying is all phones are going to be pinging this IP address. This is the IP address phones can access this router on. And we have just done that. So now the phone will not be stuck in registering anymore. It will go to a blank config, which is useless. So we're going to type maxdn then. And we need, this is directory numbers. So directory numbers, they're kind of difficult to explain. They're the numbers that you can type in to do several services. So directory number could be a phone on the system as an extension number, kind of complicated there. Or you can have directory numbers for paging, you can have directory numbers for parking, calls and stuff. So that's what a directory number is. I usually go to max, which at least on this router is 150. Do the question mark, it will tell you how many you can type. Speaking of max, you can type max ePhones. Now an ePhone is how many phones you can connect to the system. Again, this router can do a max of 30. I'm just going to do the max for everything. We then need to tell the router where to save the config file. By default, it doesn't do this and it will kind of explode if you don't. So we need to do config file and location, and we'll go do flash colon. There we go. So we can now load our phone firmware. So we'll go do load, and if we do the question mark here, all the phones that this router supports, press the spacebar to see them all. And look at all that, we got literally everything in here. We have some of the 6900 which are rubbish, we have some of the 7912s that are rubbish. We have all the expansion modules, we've got some of the wireless phones which I will be doing a video on. I'll also be doing a video on the expansion modules. We have all the other phones, we even have the 7985 which I call the duck phone because it looks a bit like a duck. I guess you could call it the ostrich as well. There's also the ATA if you want to use an analog phone adapter, but I don't think anyone here would. So we're going to do 7911 because that's the phone I have over there. And we then need to type a config thing. So if we go back here to this zip file and go to properties, copy this file here. It will start with sccpp and end in .loads. I'm going to paste that in there. And now the phone will have firmware. Now the 7911 and 7906 have the same firmware, so I'm just going to literally press the up key and do that. And that means that I can now use both phones on the system. So let's actually set up a phone. Now this is cool. So we can type exit here. First thing we're going to have to do is set up a directory number. So we're going to do ephone-dn1. So now we can define the first phone in our system. So we're going to give it a number, 3000, the very first phone. And I've picked 3000 because my normal VoIP system uses 2000. So there we go. There we have it, a number. We're just going to leave it at that. That's our basic directory number. One thing, it's just got a number. So we then need to set up ephone1. So this is the config for the phone. So the directory number you're going to give to the phone, and in the directory number that's where you set the name of the person on the phone and everything. And you can have multiple directory numbers on a phone. For like an office receptionist might have multiple lines coming in from a telephone provider. That's why you'd have multiple directory numbers. We don't here. We only have one directory number of 3000 which we are going to give to this phone. But first we need to set the MAC address. So So I now have the phone in front of me and I've flipped it round on the back and there's a little sticker that says Mac. And it pretty much always seems to start with 00. We're then going to do 23, and this is done in lots of 4. So you type 4, then you put a dot. So then it's EBC6, another dot, and then it's C900. Now the MAC address uniquely identifies each phone. So by typing that MAC address, the phone system is now defining a config for the 7911 that I was plugging in earlier. Each phone has a unique MAC address on the back. You will not have duplicates. So that's why they're using it to uniquely identify each phone. So the 7911 is a single line phone, which means that we can only define one button, as it is called. So we do button here. Now a button is basically the line buttons. So on a 7960 you have 6 of them. On a 7975 or 7970 you have 8 of them. So on the 7911 there's only 1, so we do button 1. We're then going to do a colon, and a colon basically says this is an extension in the phone system. That's what the colon means. 1 sets it to button 1. The 7911 only has one technically button, and it doesn't exist. It's kind of always got button 1 active. So 1 colon, and then we need to put the directory number, which if we look up here, it's ephone directory number 1. Oh, I've typed button. Why did I do that? Button 1 colon 1. There we go. So now that 7911, if I plug it in, it will have ephone directory number 1 set on button 1, which is kind of weird to say, which means it will have the number 3000 in the phone system. It will work as a phone now. Yes, that is amazing. We're actually going to go in here and go do type here. If you do type and then press the question mark, you get basically the same list as before. And the reason we're doing this is because if you don't set the correct type, sometimes services don't work properly. So there we go. Go to do right there. Now we're going to exit, and we're just going to go to telephony service again. And we're going to create CNF files. And this will create the initial config files. You only really have to run this once, but it will take a little bit to do that. So as you can see here, the phone is actually upgrading the firmware now, since we put the firmware on the server, or the router I guess you could say. Now the phones do this to basically, I don't know why they do it, because it's already running the same firmware, but I think the idea is that just in case there's some subtle difference, they reload the firmware just to make sure that it's the correct firmware and everything, and all your phones are running the exact same firmware from the same source. So I will start the recording pack when this phone is fully upgraded. If your phone gets stuck with a circle in a corner down here, and this applies to every phone except the 7960s, then you probably have a version of the, you're probably facing the firmware issue that I was mentioning earlier with 8.5 that you need to upgrade to before you can upgrade beyond 8.5, which is annoying. So yes, but this phone is going pretty decently here, but this will take a good 5 minutes to upgrade, so let's just give it some time. So as you can see here, the phone has just restarted again from the firmware upgrade, and it should go to registering. Updating locale. Registering. Look at that. We have a number of 3000. So we could actually technically go new call, but there's no other phones on the system and we can't call outside the system. So yeah, at the moment this is a useless phone. I'm going to go get another IP phone here and we'll connect it up, and I'll also run through the config on the second phone just so you can see what's running. I'm just checking. Yeah, the time and date are a bit, well, the date's correct, but the time is 30 minutes faster. So if you get that, you need to change the time and date on your router. I will, in the blog post, I'm going to write a blog post, I'll write down some quick steps to set up NTP so that your router automatically gets the correct time and date from a server, which is obviously ideal. I'll also leave a link for how to set up the summertime and everything, at least for the UK people out there, because I do not know how the US does summertime and everything, but yeah, I will go get another IP phone. And so here we are back at the desk. So we're going to go and create a new ePhone DN here. Straight away, ePhone DN2. This is going to be the second directory number in our system. We're going to give it a number of 3001. We're then going to go and create ePhone 2. We're going to do MAC address, and on the bottom of the phone we have the MAC address. It's 0027 dot, what is that? My eyesight's terrible today. That's OD. Is that a B or an 8? I think it's BD dot 97BB. Brilliant, it seems to have liked that. Type 79, this is a 7906. If you want to know the difference between the 7906 and the 7911, the 06 doesn't have a port for a computer, which means it can't do the video advantage, and that's really all that you're missing out on. I don't think you'd really want to plug a computer through the phone unless you've got a 7971 or high, or 7970, anything with gigabit Ethernet. That's the only really time I would let you do that, but not that that's going to help you if you've got a 10100 switch running the phone. Just don't use the PC port unless you have a gigabit switch and a gigabit phone, basically. We're then going to do button, again, 1. We're going to assign button 1, the colon, we're setting it as an extension to ePhone DN2. And that's this phone configured, and we're just going to do a do WR, which stands for do, basically lets you run commands like write in conf mode, and WR is write, it's short for write, so it will build our configuration. And we have just added a second phone. It's that easy. Now, we haven't actually done anything cool here. We haven't given this a phone name, like it's not called Bob Smith's desk phone or something. So when you call people, it will just show the number. But I will be setting up a name for these phones in this video as well. Might as well do everything in one video because it's so quick and easy to do. Second IP phone. This is the 7906 that I just configured. And look at them socks, they're beautiful, aren't they? And yes, the room's a mess, but who cares, because we have a 7906. So yeah. And I will be, by the way, doing a video on how to put your logo on these phones, because I thought it was quite cool. And that phone seems to have remembered that logo, because that's on my other system, it's not on this system that I've just set up. So yep, as you can see, this phone is going to automatically upgrade the firmware as well. So I will cut back once this phone is upgraded and has connected to the phone system, because it will work. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't, because the config is basically identical to this phone at the moment, except for the number, which has changed, it's gone up 1. So yes, in approximately 30 seconds we will be doing a phone call between two phones and a Cisco CallManager phone system. There's our two phones, our Cisco 3560 switch, and underneath all these 2 meter long freaking cables, our Cisco 2800 router here, which is, you might be able to see the compact flashlight there will probably blink in a bit once it starts downloading firmware. It's not blinking at the moment, but it will be, trust me, because this is downloading firmware. Anyway, see you on the flip. It's got a number, you can't really see it through the blur, there go 3001 and 3000. So let's pick up the handset. And we do have dial tone, you probably can't hear that. And we go dial 3000. 3000. We've got a phone call. And I'm gonna put that on hands-free and test it. Bah, bah, bah. That's obviously how you test a phone. You make stupid noises. So there we go. We've just done a phone call, and I guess we could do the phone call the other way as well. I've already got handset off, so 3001. And oh, I have to do dial on that. This phone's got a different noise. Fascinating. And if we... There we go. Still working. Now these phones do not have hands-free mics, by the way. If you set this phone to... If you set both these phones to monitor, as they call it, you will not be able to talk to the other person. Really annoying. Which is why I don't really recommend these phones unless you have a specific need for a single line handset only phone. They're good for testing though. So at the moment we need to fix something though, because if you go on this phone here and you go to directories and you go to received calls, so if you go to received calls here, you can see it just says 3001. And the reason there was a jump cut there is it actually, this phone somehow remembered the numbers of people who had called before I had moved this phone over to this system. So it literally had phone numbers of people who had rung me. Bit awful that, so yeah, I cleared them out. Yeah, 3001. That's a bit boring, we need a proper name. If we actually scroll through here, look, number 4, Adam Blunt Desk showed up. Back in freaking... Oh, I can't remember the months, I'm terrible with months and stuff. But whatever the 4th month is, April. Yeah, back in April I rung this phone apparently from my desk. So we need to obviously fix that. We want to have 3001, and 3000 need to have names. And I also want to set it so it doesn't say 3001 next to the line button there, because I want it to have the person's name as well. So let's go over and do that on the actual phone here. So let's actually go ahead and do that then in the config. It's really quite simple. It's just on the directory number. You just need to change a few things. Very simple. So now that we've successfully connected them phones, we obviously need to give them proper names. So let's go into the ePhone directory number for each phone. So we did 1 for the first phone and 2 for the second. So we'll go to ePhone DM1. Now there is 3 things you can type here that will change a part of the name. There is name. Now this is the caller ID name. This is what other people will see when they ring them and when they answer your calls and everything. This is the phone other people will see. This is the phone. This is the name other people will see. So we can put whatever we want here. We can do Bart Simpson. There. So now that phone has a name of Bart Simpson for the caller ID. Fascinating. There's also label. This is what's displayed next to the button. So this is kind of, when you have lots of lines on a phone, it's much nicer to give them a proper name like line 1, line 2, or you might, if it's a single line phone or something, you might want to put the person's name there instead. So I'm going to put Bart 3000 because that's the extension number. There you go. And then there's also description. Now this is a very weird one. When you have several lines on a phone, the first line button, so line 1, whatever you set that to, if it's got a description, that's what will display in the top bar. So just to demonstrate this, I'm going to give it a description of description, so we can see what's going to happen. We're going to do WI to save that config. We're also going to do ePhone DN2 here, and we're going to set up the name, label and description on this phone. So we're going to do name. Oh, I need to think of a name now, don't I? Steven Universe. I'm doing cartoon characters here. let's give it a label of Stephen 3001, and we will not set a description, so I can show you the difference between having a description and not having a description. Do right again to save that. I always type do right. I probably should stop typing it so often. So let's go back to the phones then and see if we can configure this properly. So we are back on the phones here, and as you can see they still have the old numbers on them. So to fix this, you're going to press into your settings menu here. Every phone's different, but you want to go to services. On some phones there's an actual dedicated button for services. On these there's this kind of globe button, and then you go down to number 4. And for some reason services is not working yet at the moment. That's annoying. I wonder if that's broken on both of these. It is. So that's a video for another day, how to fix the services button. What we'll actually do is we'll just open up this menu and we'll do, on the keypad here, **# and as you see the phone will reset. We'll do this to both of these. Usually when the services menu works you have a nice convenient button in there that will reload the config without restarting the whole phone, which is really annoying. I don't know why that's not working. I might have configured the services URL. I would have thought that iOS 15.1 did that for you automatically, because it seemed to do it on my other phone system, but obviously not this one. I'm sorry about any shake, by the way. I'm doing this one-handed camera operation here. This phone's going to win, obviously. Sorry about all the reflection as well. These phones have really annoying reflective screens. That's why I want to use a different model phone for future videos. Plus these have tiny screens and they're not colour or anything. Ugh. Let's see what 3000 is going to pop up as here. So we can see description has been put in the top bar because we set the description to be the word description. You can see the label says Bart 3000. Fascinating. And if we go onto this phone here, we can see it does not say description in the top bar because we did not set a description. It's just got the directory number, like the number of that directory number. I know that's a lot of numbers in one sentence, but it does have the label. And if we ring another phone here, if we type 3000 here, oh, I typed 300. Just take that off the hands as well. And I'll actually pick up that phone call there. We can see it says, I initiated a call to Bart Simpson, and this one says, I received a call from Steven Universe. Look at that. The caller ID is working too. So, at the moment we now have a glorified intercom. We can make calls between phones. Fascinating. We do not have any voicemail. As you can see, the messages button does absolutely nothing. We do not have any outside calling. We do not have any of that. That's just how it is. Sorry, don't have it. And we do not have, what else are we missing? We are missing music on hold at the moment. At the moment, if we put a call on here, and I will answer that with the monitor, and then I'll put it on hands-free, which on these phones is this, not hands-free, hold. You can see there's no music on hold, so you just hear a beep every so often, which lets you know it's connected still. Obviously, these phones are annoying at times with the handsets, but yeah, so that's another thing. Can't do paging at the moment, we can't do call parking. This is as bare bones as a Cisco phone system gets. We could do calls between phones, and at least they've got caller IDs set up. So yes, I guess in the next video, what should we cover in the next video, I guess? I think in the next video I might cover paging, because that's a nice simple thing to set up. You just create a directory number and you assign it to each phone, and then if you dial that number it will page. Very basic, so I'll do that in the next video. I think nice simple one to do. But there you go. That's how to at least set up basic phone-to-phone calls with a Cisco phone system. It only took 3 videos and about 2 hours. Ouch, that's a long time actually. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into these videos that you don't see in the background. But there you go. So there's our router and switch, by the way. I do like this like colour, I don't know what they call it. It's nice. The console cable keeps falling out as well. So yes, that's very basic. Nice. See you in the next